Okay, welcome everybody. So, the conclusion of the last session was that human being is not just the body, but the coexistence of self and body. The need of the two are different and they are fulfilled differently. The activities of the self is different from the activity of the body, and the response of the self is different from the response of the body. In fact, all this put together, the conclusion is that the self and the body belong to two different worlds. The body depends to the world, belongs to the world of material, the self belongs to the world of consciousness, right. And if we have to understand human being, we have to understand both this world of material as well as the world of consciousness. So, this was one important conclusion. The other important conclusion that we will be able to draw out of a serious observation into this is that in this coexistence of self and body, it is the self which is playing a central role and body is just used as an instrument. This is an important conclusion that we are going to draw through this UHV-3. So, as we said, through UHV-2 we are able to see that we are not just the body, but coexistence of self and body. Now, we will be able to see that it is the self which matters for human being, it is central to human existence, and the body is just used as an instrument. So, that shift has to take place. With this clarity of the coexistence of self and body, now we can look deeper into the self. Okay. If you look at the self and body and the transaction that is taking place between the self and the body, this also we talked about in UHV-2, but let us recall it, that the transaction which is taking place between the self and the body is in the form of information. Some instruction is being given by the self to the body, and some sensation is read by the self from the body. So, this is the only transaction taking place between the self and the body. So, self is giving some instruction to the body and the self is reading some sensation from the body. Can you see this? That this is the only transaction taking place between the self and the body, or is there any other transaction? The transaction that is taking place between the self and body is only this. The self is giving some instruction to the body. For example, you felt like eating some sweet, right? So, you instructed the body to walk to the sweet shop, take out the money, right? Pay the money, take the sweet, put it in the mouth, right? All these instructions you are giving. And what is the outcome of it? When you put that sweet in your mouth, okay, what happens? There is some sensation in the tongue, right? And you read that sensation. Okay. So, if you look at this whole process, you are giving some instruction to the body and you are reading some sensation from the body, and that is it. So, I am giving some information to the body, I am taking some information from the body, that is all, no other transaction is taking place. As far as that sweet is concerned, once it is down the throat, it is going to be useful for the body or harmful for the body, but it has no use for the self. What did the self get? The information, some sensation, right? And what did the self give? Some instruction, which is another set of information. So, the only transaction that is taking place between you and the body is in terms of transaction of information. Can you see this? And in this transaction, who is taking the decision, self or the body? Self. Both way the decision is taken by the self. It is the self who is deciding to give some instruction. It is the self who is deciding to read some sensation from the body. Yes. Can you see this? Very important observation, but this is something which you have to observe, for every transaction that you are making with the body, you should be able to observe this, that the transaction that I am making with the body is either in terms of giving some instruction to the body or in terms of reading some sensation from the body. Can you see this? Or is there any other transaction? Look at it, because all the time you have been so busy with the body and you thought body is everything, right? And you keep decorating your body all the time. But this is the only transaction. Is it true? Is it not true? Think, look at it, reflect, and tell me whether this is true or not true. The only transaction between the self and body is in the terms of self giving some instruction to the body or self reading some sensation from the body. And both way the decision is taken by the self to instruct to the body or read some sensation from the body. Because anyway whole lot of sensations are going on in the body. You do not read all of them. So whatever you consider important, you read.
Bhaiya, that was my question. Like, as now lot of instruction and the sensations are happening. Suddenly, if I pass somewhere, there is some pungent smell or it's a good aroma. The sensation is reading, and I am giving an attention to read that sensation. And even now, my hands are shaking, my head is nodding. It is all happening in my body because the self is instructing me to talk, not to talk, or not to not. But I am not able to capture every single transactions. Now I am trying to do this, read this every single transaction happening between the self and the body. More than awareness, it is like I am missing, that kind of thing is also happening.
Yeah. Slowly we will talk about this, that as a self I am not aware of myself every moment. That is the problem. So I get into this forgetfulness. I become unaware of myself. When I am unaware of myself, then I cannot observe the transaction which I am doing with the body. So slowly I have to start becoming aware of myself, and ultimately I have to become aware of myself every moment. So, that awareness would be required. Then I will be able to see any transaction which I am doing with the body at that moment of time.
Bhaiya, multiple transactions happening now. At this moment I am speaking, but the same time my thoughts are having what to speak. Again the same moment my legs are stretching, hands are so multiple. Even in the that kshanam 1 second also thousands of thoughts. It's I don't know how much the thoughts and things are going. So how to get all these thoughts aware?
Yeah, it looks very fast, Presently it seems that your thinking, your thought is very fast and you can't follow it. Slowly you will find that your capacity to see is much subtler and faster than the speed at which thoughts are going, speed at which this transaction with the body is taking place. So, slowly I have to be in a state of awareness and state of pure observer. From there I will be able to see my thoughts, every thought that is going on, every feeling that I have, every sanskar that I have, slowly I can become aware of them. And when I can become aware of them and if I can evaluate them, then slowly it will also be, you will also see that you can guide them. Presently they are just going hayway here and there, right? You see, feel as if you have no control, right? You have no control because you are not aware of them, you have not evaluated them. If you become aware of them and if you evaluate them, they will automatically start getting sorted out, they will automatically start getting purified. Then you can decide, what to feel, what to think, what not to think. Then only real terms it will be your feeling, your thought. Presently what is happening is whole lot of preconditionings have been dumped into me. I am a bundle of those preconditionings, right? And out of those preconditionings and out of the external circumstances, lot of this desire, thought and expectations keep taking place, and I am not even aware of them. But slowly I can become aware of each one of them. I can be aware, I can observe, I can evaluate, and if I do that, right, that purification of this desire, thought and expectations will start taking place. Purification of the very sanskar will start taking place. In fact, what has happened is that till now we are not working with the self at all. We have been all unaware of the self. We thought as if it is not there only, right? Only body is there. Now we are able to realize that body is there, but self is also there, right? Then we are able to realize that there is a coexistence of self and the body. And when we start paying attention, we will realize that it is the self which matters really. Okay? The body is just being as an instrument, used as an instrument. If I can see that, then I really start paying attention to the self, paying attention to what is happening in the self, and that is what we want to do next. That now that the self and body, two things are there and the decisions are taken by the self, so which is more important, the self or the body? Self. Now if self is more important, then let us look at self now. Let us look at the self deeper, right? Till now it was not there for me. Okay, I was just the body, or at least I thought that I was the body, right? Now you realize that, oh, it is not just the body. The body is there, I am there, the coexistence of the two is there. Now I realize that it is me who is taking the decision even while interacting with the body. Next question will be that if I am there, centrally to this human existence, what am I, who am I, what is going on in me? All those questions we will ask. And that is what we are going to discuss next, And that these are two different things and there is an interaction between the two. Yes. Yeah. Her question is that what happens to the people when they are in coma? So my suggestion would be that let us start discussing for people who are not in coma, you know? And first, and when we understand ourselves, okay, then we will be able to get an idea of what it would be when they are in coma. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Bhaiya. There is another self with somebody else. Even I have not seen the self. I don't know who they are, from where they are. They may be from different place. Still, sometimes I get opposition just by looking. What could be the reason? I have not talked to that person. I don't know what he is working.
You may get opposition even without looking, just thinking of him, you may get opposition.
ऐसा क्यों होता है भैया? वो मेरे को कुछ नहीं किया है, मैं उसको नहीं जानता हूँ. वो कहीं दूर से है, मैं भी दूर से हूँ. फिर भी कभी-कभी लगता है कि opposition क्यों?
Yeah, because you already have some assumption about him. Otherwise, it will not happen. I will give you an example. We had a workshop in Kanpur recently, you know, and some people coming from Gujarat, okay, and then one of them found that his reserve or her reserve is in a different compartment than the rest of the people. You know, some 12 people were coming. Okay. Now this lady got very frightened, you know, because she has an image of the people of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, you know, and this train is going from Gujarat to Bihar through Uttar Pradesh. Okay. Now just that imagination of traveling with people who are unknown in one sense but known in some other sense, you know. Okay. So you already have some notion about them, some preconditioning about them. And with that preconditioning, you already have that feeling of opposition and feeling of fear. So that assumption you already have. You may not be aware of it. Otherwise, how will you decide for that feeling?
I'm feeling bad because I don't know him. But why I feel that negativity?
But who decided for that feeling of opposition? You yourself or somebody else?
Maybe self only.
Yeah, that means now you have to trace that if you decided for a wrong feeling for which you are feeling unhappy, how did you decide it?
By natural acceptance, I should not feel that.
Exactly.
I should feel the other is similar to me.
By natural acceptance, you don't have to feel that.
But I feel it.
By your assumption, the wrong assumption, you are having that feeling. All this now you will be able to see.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
That you are making yourself unhappy by making a choice for a wrong feeling, and this choice for a wrong feeling is made on the basis of some preconditioning that you already have in you about that person or about the similar persons.
So here one more question.
So this lady, let me complete this example. Now this lady was very frightened, you know, now what to do? And anyway she had to travel, so she entered into the compartment, you know, and two people sitting next to her, one old man and then his son, you know, or maybe grandson. Okay. And when she entered, these people were very helpful, you know, said, come, you know, sit and, you know, they gave a space, put her luggage and all. And she was surprised, you know, what is happening, you know, because she has a very different notion already. So, and she was thinking, you know, after the train starts, we will interchange, you know, this bogie, because other people were there in other bogie. But by the time those other people came, Another 15-20 minutes had passed. She said, now I'm very comfortable. They are properly taking care of me. But that is what happens. Yes. Yeah.
So here, sometimes self give the direction to the body. Body is not obeying. For example, if I want to 10,000 steps to walk per day, due to laziness, I am unable to achieve that target. 3,000 steps, 7,000 steps loosen that day. Because of laziness or tiredness or some other work, I am unable to achieve that task. In that case, what is your opinion?
What is?
Your answer.
About yourself or about me? If you are describing yourself, then you have to give the answer. Okay. See this, these words, like you thought that the body cannot move more than 3,000 steps, right? Whose decision is this? Self. You have observed the condition of the body and you found that now it cannot walk anymore. So it is your decision. Okay? Then it is wastage of time. Whose decision is this? Self. Right? If you still insist that the body has to walk, body will walk few more steps till it falls down. Okay? That keeps happening, isn't it? Yeah. And in fact, all these pilgrimages, very interesting thing. These people who have never walked more than 1 kilometer, they walk hundreds of kilometers, right? Because that set of assumptions is there sitting in them. Okay? That now you have to walk, you have to complete those. Which is that Ayyappa, Sabrimala. How many steps? Yeah. They walk from different parts of the country, already tired, and then they climb up. So difficult, and barefoot. But so much of acceptance is there for it that keeps instructing, go ahead, don't worry, nothing will happen, you will be taken care of. Keep going, and they just complete. In the normal circumstances, same people would find it difficult to walk even few kilometers. Who has this acceptance? Self or the body? Self.
Bhaiya, here. Okay.
Yeah.
The body is like breathing and climbing or getting down the steps every day. Cautiously, we are not giving. So, or driving, putting the brake when we see. So, this type of breathing, heartbeat, these activities in the body. So, how we are giving the instructions. Every moment we are giving.
Okay, I would say that to begin with, you keep two categories, one which you call as voluntary, one which you call as involuntary. Okay. So at least for the voluntary action, you should be able to see this. Okay. Walking down the staircase, have you ever noticed? When you start walking down the staircase, you are very cautious. You make very, all decisions about what is it, size of the step, whether it is rough or smooth and things like that, okay. Then 2-3 steps you are careful. Once you have made the judgment, then you think, no, I don't have to pay much attention, and then you keep climbing down. And suddenly if there is one step which is smaller than the other or bigger than the other, you get a jerk, right. Then you are aware again, something wrong. Then few steps you walk like that. So you can now start observing what is happening. So for every step down you are making a judgment, right? But because you have made the judgment and you think same step, why involve myself much into it? So you don't do that, but you are involving yourself, that you can see, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Similarly, driving, you are driving, you are talking, you are seeing things all around, but if your attention is withdrawn, there will be accident. You are paying that much of attention which is necessary. Till then there is no accident. If you withdraw even that much of attention, then there will be accident.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But now all these things you have to start observing, Yes.
My question is, these instructions given by self to the body, and sensations are received from the body by the self. There is an interconnectivity between them. Means, is there any role of generating sensations from the body by the self? Because, for example, why I got this question is, if we see some snake is passing beside us, then if we won't see, then we won't have any sensations. If we observe that, immediately, because of observed by the self, then we have some sensation from the body. So I have doubt.
Yeah, the sensation in the body can take place because of the three types of input. One is something coming from outside, okay. Second is something happening in the body. Third is something happening because of the instruction from the body, from the self. So these three possibilities are there. And if you look at the input coming from outside, there can be two types of them. One can be the behavior of the other person. Second can be the physiochemical conditions outside. For example, somebody says something, those words have effect on your body. This is the behavior part. Temperature is very hot, right? It has some impact in your body. So some sensation is generated because of that. So this is one set coming from outside. The other set is that something is happening in your body, right? You have eaten food and digestion is taking place, right? So something is happening, therefore there is some sensation. Third is the self is giving some instruction, right? Then also there is some sensation in the body, some changes in the body taking place, and there is for some sensation. So these are three different categories, and one of them have another subcategory, two subcategories. So all these are there, and you will be able to see them as different kind of inputs or different effects in the body creating some sensation.
So sensations because of self from the body, self obviously read the sensations without neglecting.
Not
Yeah,
necessarily. In fact, the self makes the decision whether to read the sensation or not read the sensation, depending upon whether it considers it important or it does not consider it important.
That is always there in the self.
Otherwise, already if you see, so many sensations are taking place in the body. Do you read all of them?
No. I am asking the sensations because of self in the body. Those sensations, reflection of those sensations will be read by self.
Not necessarily.
Definitely.
Even that, for example, this example you took, I look at a snake and get frightened, right? Now I send some instruction to the body and there is some effect in the body, okay. But I necessarily read back is not necessary. I may start focusing more attention on the snake rather than what is happening in my body. But all this you have to start observing. And you can observe that whole lot of sensations are taking place in the body. For example, if you take this case, there is some noise. What is that noise? Fan, huh? AC, right? So there is a noise or there is a sound of the AC, and there is a sound of what I am saying, right? Which one you are listening to? Sound of my voice, right? Yes. And when you don't understand what I am saying, you start listening to the sound of the AC, right? Yes. And who is making the choice? Self. As far as body is concerned, both these sensations are taking place in the body out of this, my speaking something or that sound coming from AC. You are making the judgment, you are making the selection every moment, and you should be able to understand this. So, reading this sensation from the body is my choice of the self. Giving instruction to the body is also my choice, okay, of the self.
Bhaiya. Hello. Bhaiya.
Yes.
Yes.
Who is
Yeah.
it? Yes.
In continuation with Sir's discussion, so he said like that 10,000 steps he wants to walk a day, but he couldn't complete. That is a decision taken by the self to the body, towards the body. Can we take like it's a wrong assumption that self taken towards the body?
Yeah, it can take a wrong assumption, give instruction, then it finds that it is not possible for this body to move, then it can revise. What is the problem?
Okay. Next day we can keep 3,000 steps
Yes.
as a target.
Drop the idea, come back,
Oh.
it's okay.
Okay.
After all, you have to decide.
Okay. Thank you. Bhaiya.
I have a doubt. Here, I'm here.
Yes.
So, if our body gets injured or it got hurt, so at that time we'll feel the pain. So the sensation from our body is pain. So how far the self will get affected? Whether our feeling will be affected because of the pain in our body?
This is also very interesting, For example, if somebody is playing football, okay, and he is hurt, okay, and the legs start bleeding, okay, but he is engrossed in the play, what will happen? He will continue to play, right? Everybody on the ground who is watching the game, they will feel very uncomfortable about it. But for him there is no pain, not because there is no pain, but the self is not taking note of it, right? Then there is an interval, and then he sees bleeding and he gets fainted, right? Okay. Now what is happening? The same phenomena was happening in the body, the self was not paying attention, now it has paid the attention, now it is affected by it, right? So all this can happen. So if you start observing, then you will see what is happening really, how you are interacting with your body.
One question.
Yes,
One
Lataji,
question.
right?
Yes, yes,
Yes. I am trying to remember names of some of the people I have not remembered till now, but yes.
Bhaiya, during adolescence age, due to hormonal secretion, children will get that sensation. Whether we parents, we need to talk to them directly, whether we teachers, we can talk to them directly, should we need to do that or should we not to do that? That is the confusion within us. What we need to do, we need to guide them properly, which sensation they need to take, because these problems we are facing in colleges. no, that girl-boy attraction, all these are happening. Most problems are happening because of that also. Some clashes are between the students. Okay, that is happening because of these issues, because of this adolescence age. How to manage this? Whether we need to do counseling or mentoring, what way we need to talk to them? That is the confusion we are having. Should we need to talk to them directly or not directly? Should we need to make them to understand the body is having some biological changes within them? Should we need to openly talk to them or not? This is the confusion.
I was just telling about the self-discipline and counseling, right? We have to work for the student's self-discipline. Okay, that is what we have to do. And in order to do that, we have to talk about all this, right? Whether he is in adolescence or otherwise. If we can understand the self, if we can understand the body, if we can understand this transaction taking place between the self and the body, and he can understand whether, what is the source of happiness for him. Is sensation the source of happiness, or the right understanding and right feeling is the source of happiness? If he understands all this, then he will be able to observe these sensations, and he or she will be able to decide what to do with it rather than getting influenced by it. Today what is happening is that for them it is just the body, and the sensation is the only source of happiness. So you are already stuck with all those problems. When there is a visible or significant change at the level of sensation because of the hormonal change, they don't know what to do with it, and they are stuck. But if they have this clarity, then they will be able to understand what is happening, and they will not depend upon this sensation as the source of happiness or unhappiness. So they will be able to see this sensation and make the right interpretation of what to do with it. Okay. Yeah. Definitely today, the issue the issue of discussion is made whether we give them exposure about this or we don't give exposure about this, right? The real answer is that we have to give them exposure about the self, about the body, about the transaction between the self and the body, whether this source of happiness is in right understanding and right feeling, or it is in getting favorable sensation and favorable feeling. What is that? That clarity has to come. Then they will be able to decide what to do with it.
Bhaiya, I have a doubt, Bhaiya. Here.
Who?
Here. This is the question related to Kamala Nandini. This is the question related to expectation. I personally feel that I can control my expectation. I can identify what to expect and what not to expect. So I'll give it with an example. So I'm working in a concern, and there are some higher officials who's appointing a work to me. And I'm perfectly doing all those works. And next time they are deciding to give the same work to me, but there are some add-ons to that work which are very new to me. So in that case, how will I meet the expectation of the other, especially the higher official? But they feel that I don't meet their expectation. They feel that I don't meet their expectation. I'm not able to give the outcome which they expect. So how should I deal with that case?
Very complicated. Communication, right? Yes. I mean, I cannot give any ready-made solution to this, because these organizations which are not based on relationship, okay, this kind of problem will go on taking place. Okay. You have whole lot of target that you have fixed, okay, and then there are tasks and subtasks and all that. Then you have some people who are there to deliver that task, and then you find that there is a rule, 80% of the 20% of the people do 80% of the work, So you find those 20% who will do, right? Catch them, encourage them, give them more responsibility, right? And this goes on. Now, under such situation, it is very difficult to give a very definite answer. Okay. And this person who is giving you assignment or responsibility, he also is given some responsibility from his top. Okay. Same problem there also. So there is no clarity, there is no definiteness, there is no relationship clearly defined, Then how do you tell, a kind of what will be the right thing to do there? So I for one would not be able to give you an answer to this. But I mean, if as a kind of suggestion, I would say that I from my side at least should be able to communicate to the other, about what is my, capacity, my competence. Okay. So if I can do it, I tell that yes, I can do it. If I cannot do it, I can tell that this is not within my capacity, or I will try it. If I can do it, I will do it. Otherwise, I will let you know whether I am able to do it or not. But I am saying there is no clear-cut solution. These are problems, these are the organizations which are already based on certain ways which are not natural. Yeah, so this, that's what I said, it is not based on relationship, which means it is just trying to, get the maximum out of the other, irregardless of whether he is happy with it or unhappy with it, whether he is able to deliver it, he is not able to deliver it. So that relationship is not there, just, I mean, I do not want to use those words, but it is more like a management, more like a kind of, manipulation. So you are somehow trying to get things done. Because you do not have that feeling of relationship. If I have the feeling, I will try to understand you. This session, right from the beginning we are saying, if you have any question you can immediately ask. Okay. Many times people say that, okay, let us discuss the content, then we will respond. But if I see you with a feeling of relationship, I realize that we are saying things which are very meaningful and important for you, and if you do not understand one thing, I cannot go on to the next thing, right? So it is better that I kind of respond to your question, and then same kind of question is asked 10 times.
Bhaiya.
Right? I will just take a minute. So, but you can understand, because we are talking about things which you are not introduced to, right? Slowly you are getting feel of what is being talked about, right? And when you get a feel of what is being talked about, then you are asked the question. Till then you have not understood anything anyway. So when you are asking the question, repeating the question, for you it is not a repeat. For me it is a repeat, right? That feeling of relationship has to be there. So we have to make them feel that there is a need to have that feeling of relationship, which is fulfilling for them and also for the other. This is what I am saying, that this has become conditional relationship, but existentially there is a relationship between any two persons, whether we realize it or not. And that feeling of relationship is going to make you happy, or absence of it is going to make you unhappy. This realization has to come in this person, who is sitting at the top. We keep telling this, why this person on the top is made more, that? Why they are paid more? Because they are in a position, if they are managing 10 people, the unhappiness of each one of them is there, but unhappiness of this person who is managing 10 people, it is 10 times. He is 10 times more unhappy than each one of you. So he should be paid more, compensation. Right? There is a force from up, and you are also forcing. So there is a feeling of opposition from the top, there is a feeling of opposition from the bottom. So all the time you are unhappy. That is what we are trying to understand. Yes, Sumati ji.
Ji Bhaiya.
I'll come to back to you.
Ji Bhaiya. Bhaiya, actually as an associate professor, I'm handling 60 students in the class. So I can able to maintain the discipline within the class. But as a parent, it is a very challenging situation for me to handle 2 kids at my home. So in the aspect of giving them mobile, because since their summer holidays have started, they are using the mobile. See, even I don't know how to, that is how to make them to understand. If I say, sometimes they are understanding, but again they are coming back to their original position. So again they start playing. I don't know how to manage my kids. No, I cannot stop recharging because I have to contact them. Even I have made that unlock. I locked it. They did something. They unlocked. Face unlock. They have done. See, whatever I am doing, they are unlocking. Yeah, it's common in all the families. So is there any solution for this?
Yeah, so my observation is, I'll put that observation. Number one, there is lack of relationship. We are not able to give time to each other. Okay, that's one major issue. Second issue is that they have nothing more important to do. Our whole lifestyle has become such that they do not have constructive things to do. If they don't watch mobile, what will they do? What are the options available? And nothing constructive to do at home, right?
They have the chance of moving outside. They will play cricket also. Apart from that, they are expecting the mobile also to play in the mobile also.
Yeah, so let us think about it. I would say, for example, if they take the responsibility of managing the house, right? If that is an integral part of their, life, then they will spend time doing that, right? If they have to do something constructive, they will do that. They will prefer to do that. If you are there playing with them, or if they are playing among each other, then they will not look at the mobile, right? But because there is that lack of relationship, you are in isolation, the other is in isolation, because there is nothing constructive to do, right? They are just trying to pass their time. Work out that, and we all should do it, because this is a problem of most of the family now. Yeah. remember, one, this IIIT Hyderabad, when we were conducting this workshop, one fellow from Rajasthan, he was in final year and he was very seriously pursuing this. So throughout the workshop he will be there, and morning 9 o'clock he is there sitting through 1 o'clock, asking all kind of questions. Then he will come back with me to my room, then I will peel some, this papaya and all this, and he will keep sitting and talking to me. Then I will cut it and I will offer to him, he will also eat, I will eat, and this will go on, and he will keep asking questions. So one day I just asked him that it seems that your parents have not, given any work to you, He said, yes, how do you know? He said, when some guest comes and I want to serve water, my mother would say, you leave it, I will take care of it, you go and study, right? But then he said, how did you come to know this? I said, very simple, you are asking me a question for 4 hours, then you come here, right? I do the peeling up of the fruits, I cut it and I offer to you, you eat and you keep asking, right? You have never asked, that, okay, I can do it, Right. Now this is the kind of, situation that we are in, the kind of education that we are giving. So get them involved in taking care of the responsibility. They will be able to do it very well. Yeah. Yes, Lataji.
Sir, actually this all sensations are good or are bad. All sensations are bad because when we showed the imagination sources of imagination as a pie chart, we show it as preconditions, sensations and natural acceptance. So that means all sensations are bad. That is the implication, no? Pie chart.
Of continuous happiness for you. So if you are depending upon them, you are likely to get into trouble. That is the meaning of it.
No, some of the, for example, my hand burns. It is a sensation. So it is a natural acceptance to protect my body, no? So that sensation I have to take care of. For example, I have some digestive juices, so I have to take care of that, and it is not a bad sensation, no?
Yeah. We are not saying don't take care of the sensation. We are only saying that if you try to make sensation as the source of continuous happiness, then there is a problem. That is all that we are saying. Otherwise, certainly you will take care of the sensation. If there is a burnt in the body, you will do something about it. If there is a feeling of, if there is a sensation of hunger in the body, you will certainly feed the body, right? If there is cold, you will cover the body. All those things you will do anyway. But this feeling that you can get continuity of happiness through sensation, that is going to have problem. That is what we are saying only. Otherwise we take care of the sensation, like we are using the sensation to communicate. I am speaking something and you are listening, right? And you are reflecting over it. We are using sensation, for this purpose. So sensations have to be rightly utilized. Yeah. So this is one important conclusion. With this, there are some observations. I am, my body is, I want to live, my body is used as an instrument, Can you see all these things? Very simple statement, but very meaningful statements. I want to live with continuous happiness. Physical facility is required for nurturing, protection and right utilization of the body. To understand and to live in harmony at all levels of being, from self to entire existence, is my program of action for continuous happiness. Is that clear? Yes. Production, protection and right utilization of physical facility is a part of my program, less than 1/4. So, I will certainly take care of the physical facility, I will certainly take care of the sensation, right. But all this is for ensuring my harmony with the body, right. When it comes to my continuity of happiness, I have to understand the harmony at all levels of my being and have that feeling of harmony at all levels of my being, right, feeling of relationship. So, to understand and to live in harmony at all levels of my being is what is required for my continuity of happiness. Just by physical facility, just by sensation, this continuity of happiness cannot be ensured. This is what is being said. Is that clear? That does not mean that you do not take care of the physical facility. That does not mean that you do not take care of the body, do not take care of the sensation. You have to take care of them as part of your total program. But that itself is not the total program. That should be clear. Can you see this? Are you focusing just here or here as well as here? Both. I am the seer, the doer, the enjoyer or experiencer, right. I use the body as an instrument for fulfillment of my program. So, I am at the center, I am the seer, I am the doer, I am the experiencer, and I am using the body as an instrument as and when I feel necessary. Can you see this for yourself? Or there is any question on this? The center, the body is used as an instrument. I am the seer, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, and I am using this body as an instrument. Is this clarity there, not there?
By actually this protection and right utilization of physical facility is part of my program for understanding harmony and living in harmony in all 4 levels. I need physical facility individual level, and also for my relationship there also I need physical facility in the family level and fulfilling my responsibility in this level of society also. In all 4 levels, I need physical facility. Then how can I say that it's less than 1/4? If it is only for individual level, I can say that it is less than 1/4. But sometimes maybe in other 3 levels also.
Yeah. See, ultimately, if you look at your interaction with the body, you will find that you are hardly interacting with the body less than 1% of your time. Most of the time you are operating at the level of self. This clarity has to come. I was giving that example, less than 1% of time she is responding to what I am saying. Rest of the time she is reflecting on what I have already said. Right? So it is 1/4 is also very large percentage. Huh? Yeah, you can calculate it with respect to time, effort, resources, all that put together. If you see how much of it is spent over physical facility, how much of it is spent for happiness. So the main concern of you is to get this continuity of happiness, out of which some part is related to the physical facility, and this physical facility is used for nurturing, protection and right utilization of the body. My body or the body of my relative or any person in the society, right, or even in terms of something to be done at the level of nature. And regarding this physical facility, you will slowly realize that so much of it is already happening in this nature, not that you have to do everything, right.
Bhaiya, the physical facility, for myself, I can able to calculate very easily what are the needs for me. While you're considering for family, it is very difficult to calculate the inflation of education as well as healthcare. So since it is a matter of quantity, can you propose any numbers, how much I can accumulate, or any individual, any average number can you propose? Since it is quantitative, I am asking.
We have done something in UHV-2 that ultimately the physical facility is required for nurturing of the body, protection of the body and right utilization of the body. That calculation each one of us can do. Now coming to this education, health system. Now all these have become so exploitative, right, that it has become all open ended. Then how do you decide? You are stuck. Now you have a society which is based on exploitation, not based on justice. There everybody is trying to exploit as much as they can. So everything has become open ended. How can you decide? Today if you fall sick, how will you decide what worth of sickness you will have, right? 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 1 crore. If you go to the hospital, they will find out how much money you have and they will tell you this much illness you have, right? Okay. How will you decide? Same thing now happening with the education. They are willing to take 10 lakhs rupees for the same course or 1 crore for the same course, right? How will you decide? Neither you can decide nor they can decide, the whole government can decide, Very difficult. But to begin with, you can decide it for yourself. Okay? The need for food, need for clothes, need for, protection, from the environment, all those things you can decide. And most of the time you will find that you already have more than what is required. That exercise we keep giving about how many clothes you have, right? You always find that you have so many clothes, much more than what is required for you. But did you feel that? that you already had more than what is required. Before the workshop you did not feel, after the workshop at least you feel, But then these questions are still open about the school fees, about the medical, expenditure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all have to understand finally. Okay, that's that's where it is. Okay. Any other question on this? Yeah, we will do that.
Most of the time, as we have already got the explanation, that there is interaction between the self and the body in the level of exchange of information. So when I feel I am a doer, I am enjoyer, and I am a seer, that is again the level of information only, because there is no material exchange. Now, see, sir, in the case where we normally find a dichotomy, but here there is no dichotomy. It's very clear that I am enjoyer, doer, and seer, but this is only an information that is taken by the self. And the self is only passing the information to the body parts that, see, as the explanation you have already given about the taking of something for our hunger. Now, if I take something for my hunger, I have taken it for the body. That information is with me. So in that sense, I am an enjoyer. But actually, there is no material transaction in between my body and me. So that is one bit of explanation that I think is required over here, because sometimes that gives us in a very confused state. It begins with such sort of dichotomy, like मैं नहीं माखन खाई and मैं नहीं माखन खाई. So I am enjoying just as information. And मैं नहीं माखन खाई, that is just an information. And मैं नहीं माखन खाई, because there is no material exchange in between the self and the material. Yes, sir. Over to you.
True. True. This you have to experience for yourself, That the decision is taken by me, things are seen by me, decisions are taken by me, and whatever is the outcome, I am the enjoyer or the experiencer of it. Body is just used as an instrument. Okay. Body is not taking the decision. Body is not seeing the things, right? It's me who is seeing the thing. And body is not one which is suffering. I am suffering, you are suffering. Yes. I have a request to make, The second line, as if you can come in front, it will be good, because if I don't see your face, I am not very clear whether I am able to connect to you or not. So the first line is vacant. So those who are in the second line, if they can come in the first line or come somewhere here, it will be easier for me to track, This is there, this chair is there is one chair there. Because it is my responsibility to ensure that I am able to communicate with you meaningfully. Okay. So if you go too far and, if I am not able to see face to face, then it is difficult for me. Okay. So the point I wanted to make here is that the main thing is this. This is the main program. This is a part of it. Is that clear? This is the main program. This is just a part of the program. So look at that, okay? Now this last thing, seer means the one who sees, the one who understands. That is the meaning of seer. For example, if you are given something in your hand and you conclude that it is a pen, it is not your eyes that concludes this. It is you, the self, that concluded this. The self sees via the eyes, right, if necessary. The eyes don't see themselves. What do you think? I see or the self sees? Self, right? Okay. Like that, all the five senses are just the instruments that enable the self to see something outside. Okay. When you have to see something outside, you take help of these senses. When you have to see things inside, do you need the help? No. You don't need help. Good. Just like you see outside, you can also see within without using the sensation in the body as a means to see. For example, you can see that you are feeling happy, getting angry. Can you see all this? Yes. For this, do you have to take help of your body senses? No. Good. Thus, it is the self who sees or understands, sometimes with the help of the body, sometimes without the help of the body. Is it clear? Yeah. In the process of seeing, the body is used as an instrument as and when necessary. Are you able to see this? Too many statements. Huh? It is the self who is seeing, right? Using the body as and when necessary. When it comes to seeing things within, it does not need to use the body at all or the body senses at all. Any question on this? Very important shift. Till now you thought it is the body who is seeing, right? So if you don't have eyes, you think you can't see. But the blind man can see or not see? See, many times it can see finer than you can see, right? Yes.
Sir, one small...
Yes.
Actually, when I underwent one workshop under Wipro 10 years back, they gave me a situation, if you are entering a classroom as a first time, how much time it will take brain to decide about the teacher by the students. So that answer is 6 seconds or 10 seconds maybe. So within that, if the students are deciding about me, I have not yet started my classes, but the speed of the brain, they told us, like within a few seconds it will decide. That students will decide my attitude or like that. Even I heard the same statement from stage speakers also. The way I am entering the stage itself, I will beat other persons. That attitude I will have within 10 seconds like that. So this condition, the students are deciding to with the thing, like which thing I can relate, whether their self is seeing me or what is their brain thing.
I mean, my observation is that these kind of statements are made with the assumption that body is everything, without any notion about the self.
By our brain decide very fast, I think, sometime.
But self can decide faster than the brain.
Okay. Oh, self.
And self takes enough time to decide. You are
Okay.
always willing to review.
Okay, review process, yes, review is
Isn't it?
there means it is okay.
And ultimately what the self gives importance to is the relationship.
Okay.
So this man who looks, however smart he looks, if he does not have a feeling of relationship, okay, you will discard him or her. Then if he does not have right understanding, you will discard. But all these things don't come into play because you think, all that is there is physical facility, the world outside, and your body, your sensation. The moment you bring in the self, you can decide, you can see for yourself how much you are taking time to decide for others. Somebody yesterday was saying, 15 minutes attention time. But if something is of your interest, you can sit for hours. Right? It depends upon the interest of the self. Isn't it?
Same way, even if we have, so I want the clarity only, not even I had enough experience to understand, but I want to check like what you are suggesting. Like even after we had a relationship for a year or 2 years or 3 years, then their phases are changing, like their way of, that is a problem with there is no feeling of relationship, means it will come like that.
Yeah.
That understanding is okay.
So what you had decided in 6 seconds, you keep changing.
Keep changing.
Every next moment. Okay. So the self is finally going to decide with continuity. If there is right understanding, there is right feeling. Otherwise, it will keep questioning it all the time. Okay. The doer. Doer means one that does, who takes decision to do. So doing has to do with taking the decision for what to do. So if I am taking the decision and doing something through the body also, who is the doer? The self or the body? Right? So I am taking the decision, I am using the body as an instrument as and when necessary. Whose responsibility is this? Self or the body? Self. Yeah. Self is the one who decides. Self decides what to do, what not to do. The body is used to express the decision of the self if required. For example, self instructs the body to walk and body walks. However, self may or may not use the body to execute its decision. For example, to think is my decision. I do that thinking within myself. The body has no role to play. I decide which feeling to have, right? Which thought to have. And on the basis of that feeling and thought, I am happy or unhappy. Am I involving the body? No. It has consequence for me. Does it have consequence for me? Yes. If I decided to have a wrong feeling, I am unhappy. That is the consequence. Nothing has happened outside. Yesterday I was taking that example, You are thinking of taking revenge from someone for 2 hours and then you drop the idea. Outside you have done nothing. Body is not involved. What happened to you? You were unhappy for 2 hours, right? Can you see all this? Yes, suffering so much for the other without the other knowing it. So the body is used as an instrument as and when required. It is the self who is the doer, who is taking the decision to do. And ultimately, it is the self who is the enjoyer. Enjoyer means the one that experiences happiness or unhappiness. I am the one that feels enthused or depressed. I am the one that feels angry or delighted. I am the enjoyer, the experiencer. So if you do something good, who feels happy? Self or body? Self. Right? If you suffer for doing something wrong or taking some wrong decision, who is suffering? Self. Body has no problem. Somebody abused you, okay? Body will pass on that information that this sound has come. Now you become happy or unhappy is your decision, right? And then you decided to give some abuse to the other and you instructed the body will do it, right? And somebody hits back at the body has no problem. Body will pass you the information that it has been hit, right? You decide whether to be happy or unhappy about it.
Ganesh, I have a question.
Yes.
So when I say that I, as the pure observer, do I experience this happiness or unhappiness as a pure observer?
Yeah, ultimately you will find that when you are at the level of pure observer, then you are in a state of continuous happiness. That is the state where you can really be in a state of continuous happiness. If you are anywhere below that, you are likely to get into trouble. That we will see. That only when your center of being is that pure observer, that you can be in a state of harmony and happiness in continuity. If you are operating at the level of, assumptions, at the level of sanskar, at the level of feeling, at the level of thought, you are likely to get into trouble. We will see those details. Yes.
Yes, Bhaiya. Bhaiya, one question.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So medical illness, whether it is felt with the self or with the body. If illness, if we...
Yeah, the body has some problem physically.
Okay.
And
yes.
you identify that there is some problem in the body.
Yes.
So when it comes to feeling this illness, it is by the self. When it comes to something happening in the body, that is at the level of body.
The pain that we feel, it is with the body or it is with the self?
Pain is a joint process.
Ah.
Because, see, there is something happening in the body.
Yes.
And you are not reading that sensation.
We are getting the sensation. We are getting the sensation.
No, suppose like somebody comes, and you have been screaming, mar gaya, and this, that.
Yeah.
And somebody comes to meet you. What happens? You are busy talking to the other person, right? Who has come. Then he goes away, again you start screaming.
Okay.
Now what happened? The pain was there, not there. The condition of the body is bad. I was not paying attention to it, so there was no pain. I was busy talking to the other person. When that condition of the body is there, both the cases, now I am paying attention and I am feeling the pain.
Right. Depending on the severity. Depending on the severity of the pain, sometimes both body and self it feels, no?
Yeah, so the problem is there in the body.
Yes.
But when do I become unhappy about it? When I pay attention, read the sensation, and I feel that it is undesirable, state. Then I feel unhappy. The problem in the body continues to be.
No, for example, a patient comes out immediately of the surgical theatre out. At that time, at that point of time, the patient will feel really the painful moments at the ICU.
So at that point of time, the terminologies, it is unhappiness. Happiness may be, yeah, I am alive. I have come back. I have recollected my drowsiness and other things. Immediately I have been recovered from the anesthesia. That happiness will be there within the self. Unhappiness may be there partly, depending on the painful things and the other body that is accepting everything.
Yeah, true.
Thank you.
See how much importance I give to the sensation, right? I am affected by it or not affected by it. So there can be whole range of it. Some people who are too sticky about the body, any small problem in the body, they get so affected by it, right? So the whole range would be there. You have to decide for yourself how much you are, kind of affected by the body. That is your choice. Yeah. So seer, doer and enjoyer. We'll come back to this B1, B2, B3, before that we talk about. So B1, the higher activities of self in this block is main seer. It is able to see the reality in relationship, harmony and coexistence, which is the essence, definite, universal, continuous. That's what I was saying, Ultimately, you are seer in the real sense when you are at the level of B1, the pure observer. The doer, the decision to do outside is taken by the B2, this imagination part of you. And the enjoyer is both at the level of B1 as well as at the level of B2. I'll come back to this, when we discuss some more details.
Bhaiya? Here, Bhaiya. Here.
Okay.
In continuation of Infanta Mom's question, I experimented the same. Once I had a cut in my hand, recent 2 months back. I was just checking, is it paining or not? It is paining, but not all the time. When I called my papa and told I got cut in my hand, I was just talking to my papa only. I didn't read that pain. Again, once the phone I kept down, again I think, oh, blood is coming, it's paining. See, I am reading the sensation, but while giving the concentration on other thing or most important thing than this, I'm not reading the sensation. So I could able to see that the self is seeing the sensation and it's changing continuously. It is reading, sometimes it is not reading, reading, not reading. So just continuing with what you are trying to say.
Sir, we will be able to see very clearly, as we go on. So we are not insisting on this because we feel that it takes time for you to see all these things, So we'll draw your attention towards it and leave it for you to keep working on it.
Bhaiya, can I tell something?
Yes.
Yeah. I have lots of lifelong medical related issues in my family. And recently I was infected with a typhoid 2-3 months before. It did not cure for me. Okay, then I said what my mother said when she was suffering. She is a cancer survivor for the past 30 years, 35 years. Okay. She went to an extreme stage, 2022. That time, she said one word and just sentence in Tamil. Minji minji pona enna povom, usir dana popode. That is the sentence she used to tell. Finally, what will happen? The life will go, that's all. Okay, my soul will go out of the body, that's all. Na? For that, why you are worrying? She used to tell the statement. When the doctor pricked typhoid, you will not get the line. 4 times outside hospital, they were treated me. But the typhoid did not subside. Recently in Feb this year. So when they pricked here, I screamed like anything. I can't bear the pain. Then I remembered the sentence which she told when she was struggling. Okay. So then the second time when the same nurse came for pricking in this zone, Again 4 or 5 times I had a pricking for IV. No other go. Once you give the IV only, it gets cured. So when I remember the sentence, I got an intimation not to worry about it. They will prick the vein, it will go. What will happen? Whether the vein will break or something will happen. So if I am consciousness, having the consciousness, I can take care of myself. If I am not having consciousness, if I am in ICU, I do not know what is going to happen. So that will be the state. That is what I want to tell to infant amount. So the struggle will come for everyone, but how much extreme you face the struggle, that will make a person to decide what to do at that time. I got this experience after seeing my mother struggle. Then I told my husband, minji minji pona enna usir dana popode. The same words I told him. Yeah, he said, don't worry, I will save you. I said, I'm not worrying at all. You are worrying for me. Okay. So this is one. At lesser age itself, I have seen a spinal cord surgery. I went to a stage where I cannot walk. They went for a cutting. I told doctor, I can't bear the pain. It will fully prick the leg till the end. They said tomorrow I need to go for the surgery at the emergency because it went to an extreme level. I said, doctor, better save or better kill. That is the words I gave to them because I can't bear the pain. So in that case, I do not have a self-control. But I realized that control right now, this 3 months before. That is my experience. And one more thing, Bhaiya, I would like to tell you is, I think self is connected with soul. Because after a human die, the soul will go to hell or heaven, we don't know, we are not seeing. But when a self is connected with soul, as in, I didn't do yoga, they used to say in yoga, 7 chakra are there in spinal cord. When all the 7 chakras are aligned together, definitely self might have a control with soul. That is why saints do not have any response to any actions in their life. They are able to make their soul travel. Suppose if I am a saint, I can make my soul enter Supraja and Supraja soul can enter into mine. This.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Regarding this last issue, we'll talk about this something about these things at the end, because first we should be able to understand the difference between the body and the self, and we should be able to see that it is the self which is playing a central role. Then we will look at this self in depth, Then we will take up this last issue that you have mentioned. So let us look at this self now. This self, what do you think? Where are you operating now at the level of self? You are operating here or you are operating here? What are the possibilities, of activities in the self? Are you aware of this? Acquainted with this? No. Yes, very good. What do you think? Most of the time, where are you operating at the level of self? In this yellow one or this violet one? What do you think? Yeah. So take time to decide, but most of the time you are here. And that is the trouble, because if you are just operating at the level of imagination, there is no definiteness. Only when you are able to operate here, that definiteness comes, that universality comes, right? We will try seeing that, as we go ahead. So this violet one, B1, is really the place where you can see things as they are. So you are seer in the real sense. This B2 is the place where you take decision about how to, interact with the world outside, right? So that decision is taken at the level of B2. this yellow thing. There you are the doer. And both B1 and B2, depending upon whether you are able to see things or not able to see things correctly, whether you have the right feeling and right thought or not having right feeling and right thought, you feel happy or unhappy. So that enjoyer is there at the level of B1 as well as the level of B2. The details we will see, as we go further we will see this more detail. This again we will see these details, we will come back. This what is happening at the level of realization, what is happening at the level of understanding, what is happening at the level of contemplation, and based on that what is happening at the level of imagination. I will not get into the details right now. I have just placed it for you to keep in mind. When we expand on this, we will come back and discuss. Keep this image in your mind.
Yeah, this image was there from UHV introductory onwards. We were checking what is that empty box. UHV 2 they opened this, but they say let's get into it. The UHV 3, at least this time we should understand what is this.
Yes. Very purposefully we keep some things explicit and something we keep for you to wait. So whatever is made explicit, if you are able to see that, then those higher things can be now looked into and understood. Otherwise we give lot of information and you are not able to make sense of it. So we will talk about these things. Now I have just placed this for you to keep in mind, which we will discuss as we go on. And still this is how it would look like, the human conduct would look like. That with right understanding we have the right feeling and right thought, and with that we have the right behavior, right work and right participation in the larger order. Then things will start falling in order. So this is another picture you should keep in mind. That is your picture. This is the picture of a human being with right understanding, right feeling and right thought, right behavior, right work and right participation in the larger order. This is the human being living with human conduct. Through, we will slowly unfold each of these things. You the description of you living as a human being, right, with divinity. Yesterday somebody was talking about divinity, right? So you have understood the divinity, you are feeling and thinking about that divinity and you are living with that divinity. Because you are the integral part of this existence as a whole, right? That you are anyway, an integral part of this whole existence. Whether you are able to see this existence as coexistence or you are not able to see it, whether you have that feeling of relationship with the whole existence or not, whether you are living with that feeling, in your behavior, in your work or not, all these are open questions. But ultimately that is the possibility with each one of us. We can understand this whole existence as coexistence. We can have the feeling of coexistence for every unit in existence. And finally we can behave and work with every unit in existence with that feeling of relationship. This is the possibility for each one of us. And every one of us want to realize this. Right? If we realize this, then we are living as a human being If we don't realize this, then we are striving to become a human being, but we are not living as a human being.
But yeah, oneself after realizing this, what will happen?
After realizing the continuity of it.
Continuity of it for other human being to develop, or
you have the continuity of this understanding in you, you have the continuity of this feeling and thought of relationship in you, you continue to behave and work and participate in the larger order with everyone around, that is your state of being. So that is about you as an individual. What will be the outcome? If you are behaving, with relationship with everyone, working with relationship and participating in the larger order with feeling of relationship and harmony, then you become a source for relationship and harmony, right, for others. And that is how it starts multiplying, till it ultimately reaches to everyone. It leads to an undivided society and universal human order. So that will be the outcome for others. But for you, you have already reached to that state where you are comfortable with you, right? You have feeling of relationship for everyone. You can live comfortably with everyone around. That is what is happening with you. But ultimate outcome of this would be that you are able to work for right kind of education and sanskar, right kind of social system, which will ensure this kind of condition for everyone. That is ultimately leading to undivided society and human order, universal human order. That is what we want ultimately, right? But to begin with, I have to work for it, you have to work for it, everyone has to work for it. That is first thing to do. Second thing is to have right kind of education and sanskar, where not only we do it for ourselves, we can pass it to the next generation through process of education and sanskar. And then ultimately it has to be done for the whole society. So the kind of work that we are trying to do here is in that sense very significant thing to do, very important thing to do. That if we can bring this in the mainstream education, where teachers can reach to that state and where they can make it available for the students, right? The students will reach to that state and they can work for the society as a whole, isn't it? That is the real role of the teacher. The teacher has to work not just for the salary. The teacher has to work for this. If you have reached to that state, you are the teacher in the real sense.
Bhaiya, body is the gross and the self is subtler. And body is the gross unit and the self is a subtler unit. What is more subtler than self? Once the self reach that state of realization, will the self will reach the subtler part of like space, or will that? Because such kind of question when we put through, like people used to usually say, just see what you can able to see now, not go. But these kind of questions are there within, right?
Yeah, in fact, when you say coexistence, realization of coexistence, it has two parts. One part is I am able to see the subtlemost activity and I am able to see the no activity, the space which is not an activity, and ultimately I am able to see the coexistence of this subtlemost activity in a space which is not an activity. So I have the realization of that space, I have the realization of that subtlemost activity in a space. So I have the realization of this coexistence, and then I have the realization of this coexistence expressing itself in the form of grosser and grosser activities. Therefore, I can see the whole existence expressing itself, starting from the space and the subtlemost activity in space, how it is combining together to form grosser and grosser activities. So in that sense I can see the whole creation taking place and the pralaya taking place. So that is the realization. But I continue to be an unit of consciousness. Right?
But I continue to be the unit of no activity once the consciousness can also become no activity state.
No, I don't have to become no activity. I have to experience this no activity.
Okay,
And
got
see
it.
that I am always in that no space, and in space all my need of that pure observer is fulfilled all the time.
Got it. Thank you. This question was there for 1 year. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Yeah, we will talk about this in more detail. I just mentioned to this to Dipesh ji that at the level of pure observer I am able to see myself as an activity, as subtlemost activity. I am able to see the space and I am able to see my coexistence in space, and there all my need of the pure observer is already fulfilled. So I do not have to achieve anything from outside, okay. It is already fulfilled in space. That leads to that state of continuous happiness ultimately, but we will come to those things slowly. Which will keep coming back again and again, because that has to be built up slowly. So I have given an overall picture, but we will build up this slowly. So this we have already discussed. The conclusion is the self is central to human existence. The body is used as an instrument of the self as and when necessary, not always, as and when necessary. So with this, the sum up, human being is coexistence of self and body. Self is the seer, doer and enjoyer. It is central to human existence. The need of the self is continuous happiness. For this, the program for the self is to understand harmony and to live in harmony at all levels of being, starting from human being to family, society, nature and existence. Understanding of harmony, feeling of harmony is at the level of self, right. Understanding has to take place at the level of self, feeling has to take place at the level of self. The body is always used as an instrument of the self. The transaction between the self and body is only in the form of information and is decided by the self. So this is what we have tried to reflect on in this session. With that, some points for reflection. Number one, observe the imagination going on in yourself at this moment. Observe the desire, thought and expectation in this. Right? Some imagination is going on anyway every moment. So now you start observing what is this imagination going on in you at this moment. And this imagination, what is the desire, what is the thought, what is the expectation. Are you able to see that your happiness or unhappiness depends on your own state of imagination? For example, when you are thinking of taking revenge from the other, this example we have taken so many times, with a feeling of opposition, what is your state of happiness or unhappiness? How much of this is dependent on the state of the body? This is important question, that I was mentioning this. If you are sitting in an air conditioned room, the body is okay, right, comfortable. But if you are sitting with someone, you have a feeling of opposition, what will be your state of being? You will be happy or unhappy? Unhappy, yes. Suppose you are sitting in an air conditioned room with your director with whom you have a feeling of opposition, very common, right. Will you feel comfortable within or uncomfortable within, happy or unhappy within? Right. So these are the points for your self-reflection. Stop here. If there is any urgent question, we have 5 minutes for us. Yes.
Where can one self influence another self?
That is what we are trying to do here, isn't it?
It may be an opposition in terms, right, in negative way.
Yeah. See, we keep influencing each other positively or negatively. Yeah. All the transactions that we are doing with each other, it is having some impact on the other, positive or negative.
Thank you.
I have one one doubt.
Yeah.
Here, I am here. My friend is in one problem. I could understand her self is not okay. I am keep on trying to cure his self, making her understand, but she is not in a position to understand. I want to cure herself. What I can do for her? Like I am keep on talking. I want to try to cure herself. Like I am lagging in that. I could not make her understand that thing.
Yeah, so we did talk about this, but I can repeat. First thing to do is that I have to take care of myself.
Okay.
I have to put it in order. Okay. If I have put myself in order, first thing that will happen is my behavior with the other will be proper. It is that behavior which will be accepted by the other. With that acceptance of my behavior, if the other person has a willingness to share the problem and get the answer from me, then I can be a help. Right? Then this whole process can start.
Okay.
Right? So all that we are talking about is essentially that process by which first I can take care of myself and then I can be a help to the other. Right? So right kind of education sanskar can be ensured by first I going through this process of education and sanskar, and if I develop the competence, right, work with the other with same kind of process of education and sanskar through my right behavior with the other. That is very important. If you start giving sermons, he will not listen. But if your behavior is proper, he will accept the behavior and then he will open up slowly. I remember when we started it in one of the college in 2005, it seemed very difficult, to take it to the mainstream education, almost looked like impossible, right? Now it is being run in thousands of colleges, and whoever goes through it and is able to get the sense of it, he becomes a source for that college, for that university. So multiplying so easily with almost no resource. People are the resource. So if people find that it is making sense to them, they work for themselves and then they start working for others. Very natural process. Yes.